At the end of the 9th century, the Kievan Rus emerged on the expanses of Eastern Europe. It was a federation consisting of disunited tribes, according to the official version, gathered together by Scandinavians, Rurik and Oleg. Located along an important trade route, from Varangians to Greeks, connecting Central and Northern Europe with Byzantium and the Near East, Kievan Rus began to turn into a centralized state centered in Kiev. The princes ruling in Kiev were considered great, means all other princes in the territory of the Federation were subordinate to them. But the events in the south changed the fate of these lands. The Crusades, with the destruction of Constantinople in 1204, made the trade route along the Dnieper River unpromising, as a result of which the Kiev princes lost their income, and with it, their power. The era of fragmentation came, when Kiev no longer ruled the other principalities. The absence of a single center was disastrous. Weak, scattered principalities faced an unprecedented force from the east, the Mongols. In 1223, the armies of several principalities were defeated near the Kalka River. In 1237, led by Khan Bati, the Mongols returned. In 1237, Ryazan was grasped. In 1238, Kolomna, Vladimir. In 1239, Chernigov and Pereyaslav. In 1240, Kiev has fallen. Kievan Rus ceased to exist, and its lands for centuries became vassals of Mongols. The first mention of Moscow dates back to 1147 as a small village. The Principality of Moscow emerged in the 1380s as part of the Grand Duchy of Vladimir, with its first Prince Daniel of Moscow. Thanks to intrigues and political games, Moscow Prince Ivan Kalita receives permission from the Mongols to rule the entire Grand Duchy of Vladimir. Obtaining the label allowed Muscovy to become the main collector of tribute for the horde among the Russian principalities, which greatly increased his power and influence. The Moscow princedom, robbing other princedoms in favor of Mongols, began to get rich rapidly and to increase the territory. In 1478, Ivan III attacked the Novgorod Republic. Novgorod was besieged and captured. Huge numbers of civilians were savagely slaughtered, and the trading republic ceased to exist. In 1480, the standing on the Ugra River took place. The Mongols decided to strengthen their control over Moscow. The troops stood opposite each other and did not engage in battle, but the Mongols decided to leave. This marked the end of Mongol rule. The Principality of Moscow gained independence. After that, Ivan III seizes the Tver Principality. As a result of the Russo-Lithuanian War of 1500 to 1503, Muscovy gets a number of lands in the west. His son, Vasily III, by terror and threats, liquidated independent Pskov, Smolensk, Ryazan princedoms, joining to Muscovy. Vasily III's son, Ivan IV, known as Ivan the Terrible, launched wars against the Khanate of Kazan and the Khanate of Astrakhan, eventually including them in its composition. In 1581, begins colonization of Siberia, led by Yermak. His army captured the Siberian Khanate. Subsequently, Tobolsk, Tomsk, Yakutsk, Krasnoyarsk, Irkutsk were founded. Ivan the Terrible was known for his cruelty and neurotic character. He created the Oprichniki, a personal guard acting as a secret police force dedicated to suppressing sedition and repression. Oprichnina was accompanied by mass executions and confiscations of property of boyars suspected of disloyalty. The main goal was to suppress any opposition and strengthen fear in society. Ivan the Terrible proclaimed himself Tsar, Caesar from Latin, of all Russian lands, and the Moscow Principality became a kingdom. Meanwhile, in Europe at that time, this territory was called Moscovia, or Tartary. This meant that Ivan and all his successors claimed the lands of the former Kievan Rus, which had become part of the Western countries, as they do nowadays.